paying you, but I think we can pay you more in Georgia. I mean, the guy's got juice, right? I think you can do my pregame speeches for me too, so you did a hell of a job there, Frank. I appreciate it, and it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be in Macon. Raise your hand if you've been here for all 8 of these I've been to, because I think I might be the only guy. Okay, we got a good crowd. It's been here. I always know this time of year by my annual rite of pilgrimage, where I come down to Macon and I come back, and I miss my son's baseball game every year. So he's playing again tonight, so I'm unable to watch him. But I want to open with congrats to all the award winners. And you know, I don't know that at your age, and forgive me, Zion, if I start yelling and screaming and I spit on anybody. I've been known to do that, but you football players know better than sit too close to the coach. He'll spray you. So I'm gonna try my best not to spray anybody tonight. But all these award winners, you wouldn't have this opportunity if someone hadn't done it before you. And I want to thank the sponsors of this event. I want to thank Allison Evans and using the Children's Home. My man in the back with the pork chops, Mr. Lonnie, he does it. I can eat it twice a year. And all the sponsors that help with this event, you don't get an opportunity to pave the way for the next generation unless you give back. And you know, it was amazing to me, 15,000 in scholarships this year alone, 5 $3,000 scholarships to somebody that's probably not gonna get a full ride and have to pay their way through school. You only get that through the sponsorships of this event, through you guys coming out to this event. So that means a lot, because you're giving back to your communities. All the communities in and around this area, when you give back to the sport of football, you're giving back to our state. And it means a lot to me, because I grew up in the state, was raised by a high school coach in the state, and when I see all these high school coaches and these parents that give so much time, effort, traveling with these kids all over, taking them to and from practice, it is not easy, okay? Fall football practices in the state of Georgia are not easy. When it's 105 degrees and you got to put on 25 pounds of pads and go out and practice, sometimes twice a day, sometimes early in the morning, it's tough. And to give back and get an opportunity to recognize the people that play the sport, I think it's really special. I want to give a special shout out to Edgar. I don't know how many people know this, but Edgar Hatcher's son, Chris Hatcher, gave me my first job as a coach at Valdosta State. And the whole time I was at Valdosta State, those 2 years, he meant so much to our program, also to his son, Chris, but he's meant so much to this state and really meant so much to this community. You can't think about football in the city of Macon without thinking about Edgar Hatcher first. So I appreciate all you've done. I know this, every year I come, he's always first or second on the picks. So if you ever need to get your picks right for gambling, Edgar's the guy to talk to, because he knows the ins and outs. He's got an inside source in his son, so he's always at a competitive advantage. I've already thanked Allison Evans, but you know, I tell this story every year. This room is full of college coaches once a year, and I've been blessed to be a part of that for about the same amount of time I've been at Georgia, 8 years. We come into this room, and I tell y'all the story every year. We all sit together, and we all act like we like each other for about 30 minutes. So you could have, I mean, I think this year it was like 120 schools represented, and the head coaches and the staffs of those 120 schools, all the way up from Mercer and Valdosta State, D2 schools, all the way up to Division I schools with the likes of Georgia and such. So it's really an incredible opportunity to come in this venue, speak before you, but this venue in the Children's Methodist Home doesn't operate without people giving back. So I always say the job they're doing is incredible, and if you can support the Methodist Home in this community, I encourage you to do that. And it's something my wife and I take a lot of pride in, and our foundation gives back to the Methodist Home just through the relationship I've been able to establish with Allison over the years. So a lot of appreciation for what they do. You know, I think the next thing is kind of like where we are right now, UGA football. I sat before you last year, and of course everybody was jacked up, first national championship in, I don't know, 39 or 40 years, whatever it was. And I sat before you, and I felt really comfortable that we were gonna have a really good football team, okay? I've said this repeatedly. We are built to sustain, not to be a one-hit wonder. How do you build to sustain? You coach and teach young men. You develop young men. The guys we're bringing into our program, to hear about Johnny being already up at West Virginia, we have 21 mid-year enrollees. It's become the new thing to do, to enroll early and go get started on your education at a much more rapid rate. You get an extra semester paid for. So we got 21 guys that are in our program that weren't in it last year. So when you're able to kind of inject that energy of 21 new guys, you have to teach. You have to slow down and develop. You know, you guys, for me right now, you're going to be at a program possibly this time next year if you choose to go mid-year. When you do that, it is probably one of the most impactful times of your life. And I'm talking to all the award winners, because the transition from high school to college is one of the toughest things I've ever been through in my lifetime. Okay, we'll take you through that. First time you walk in, they don't hand you a jersey number and tell you how good you are. Okay, you walk in that locker room and it's humble pie. Okay, because everybody there was just as good as you coming out. They don't care anything about your accolades. They don't even know who you are. I'll never forget my first day in the Georgia locker room. It was June, maybe 6th of 1994, and I was between two defensive backs. I was this short little 5'10", 175-pound white kid, and they said, "Do you kick here?" I immediately was just crushed. I was like, "No, I don't kick. I play defensive back just like you guys do." But they don't care where you're from. They don't care who you are. They don't care what your stars are. But hopefully they will embrace you as one of their own. And that's one of the biggest things we've been able to get our culture at Georgia of connection, that when these 21 guys come, it's much different than when I came. You know, hazing might have been illegal when I came, but it wasn't illegal. And so there was a lot of hazing and a lot of getting your head shaved and a lot of, you got to do this and that. Now, those 21 guys that we've got in our program right now, we're counting on them to help us this year immediately. And we want to include them and have inclusion in everything we do with our players and our team. So we're going through our process right now. I think I talked about it last year, of our skull sessions. Our skull sessions have become a unique trademark of what we do. So we take 12 guys, we break them out from all positions. We take all our coaching staff, all our strength staff, all our player development staff, all our nutrition staff, all our training staff, everybody we have on staff, and we put them in the pods. And I kind of explained this to you last year. It'd be like everybody at the table, you don't know anybody at your table. Okay, first day you walk in, you're expected to know everybody in your group. If you don't know everybody in your group, from little walk-on that pays all his money and busts his butt every day and never gets in the game, to five-star Tommy that everybody in the world thinks is going to be a first-round pick, you're the same. And you spend time getting to know them. We have topics we go through. We have different things we talk about. We talk about whether it's character, whether it's decision-making, whether it's football. We talk about those things openly and freely, and so many of our players have come back to me after they're through and said, "Coach, it was so good for me." We just had the New Orleans Saints in today, so their staff flew a private jet to Athens. They worked out a bunch of our players going to the draft. Their head coach was there, the general manager was there, multiple scouts were there, and they just came in and said, "Coach, your guys get up in front of people at the combine and speak as good as anybody. Can you tell us why that is?" And I said, because we spend a lot of time, we invest, we take away from the X's and O's and watching the tape and what did you do wrong at safety, what did you do wrong at O-line, and we talk. Because if you're on these all the time, you don't talk, you don't share, you don't spend time having conversation. And I think it's so important for young people, I'm talking all ages, to invest and have conversation with their parents, with their guardians, with their teammates. You know, we have pregame meal, and I tell our guys all the time, look, I'm not going to be the phone police. I got too much to do to be the phone police. I ask you out of respect for our team, turn your phone off, enjoy your meal, and talk to others. When we go in our skull sessions, we never have to worry about that. They don't bring them in there. They actually talk to each other. Well, guess what? When you're sitting in front of the GM, the owner, the head coach, and 5 other representatives of the team, you better be able to carry on a conversation, because they want you to represent the organization in the city that they play in. They want you to represent them the right way. And that's what we want to teach our players to do. And we're in that process right now. We've got a skull session this Wednesday. We've kind of got a new topic. I don't know if some people have kind of heard me speak, especially because that guy over there's filming me the whole time. So whenever I speak, there's like 800 people have already heard it. So they like to record and send it out. But the biggest difference is this year we're studying the winningest sports team in the history of all sports. And I'd love for one of y'all to tell me what that is. UCLA. No. Winningest sports team in all of sports. Nobody can tell me? There you go. Somebody's listening. Somebody's already recorded one of my messages and they already sent it out. He listened. All Blacks rugby team is the winningest sports team in all of history. Okay? Unbelievable winning percentage, somewhere in the high 800s. Been doing it for over 100 years. And the All Blacks, it's a lot of pride to play on the All Blacks. And they've got a lot of mantras. But we want to sustain our success, right? So it's everybody says, well, it's easy to climb the mountain, but it's really hard to stay on the mountain. People always ask me that. Is it harder to stay, coach, or is it harder to climb? It's hard as hell to do both, right? I don't know anybody that says climbing a mountain's easy, right? And you get to the pinnacle or the top of the mountain, and they talk about how the wind blows harder up there. That wind's blowing all over the place, okay? It's just hard. But we studied this team, the All Blacks, and there's 4 of their mantras that we picked up that I'd like to share quickly because I know we gotta get to questions, and I know half of you are ready to go home. So I'm gonna share this with you. First one for us is no one is bigger than the team. Okay, do you say that, or do you actually believe that? In your place of church, in your place of work, in your house, no one's bigger than the team. I believe that with all my heart. So we go out to practice, and there's 1 minute left on the clock before we start. Every one of our players know no one's bigger than the team. I don't care who you are, how many stars you got, you're coming out there dressed and ready, and you're there on time. No one is bigger than the team, okay? That's a huge concept for us. So we had a sports psych guy come in. He said, you know the best way to illustrate no one's bigger than the team? You ever seen a pit crew? Ever seen a pit crew on NASCAR? They took a picture of it from above. Car coming 60 miles an hour, stops on a dime. One guy standing in front of it. He jacks it up. 4 tires. 3 people in each tire. Zoom, 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 zoom. 2 people in the back, 1 gassing it up. 15, 16 person pit crew. Who's the most important one? No one. No one. All of them. All of them. And when you watch what they do, you can't tell me which one's the most important one. Are y'all that way? Are you that way? Do you believe that way? No one is bigger than the team. Do you believe that? Do you live that? And would your other players on your team say that about you? All right, next one. It's an honor, not a job. That's been a big talk for us. It's an honor, not a job. Think about that for a second. Every day I go to work, I don't necessarily love to go to work, okay? And you got to catch yourself sometimes. And we did this with our players. And I challenged the guys who just got awards out here, scholarship awards and academic awards. When you look and you visualize what your dream is, and we told our players this, we said, all our players, go back to your 10th and 11th grade year in high school and visualize what you wanted. Are you not living that? Are you not living that right now? I'm talking to our players. George, are you not living that right now? But is it an honor or a job? When you go in each day, when you go to lift weights, when you go to practice, when you go to track, when you go to your extra sport, you go to your math club, you go to your quiz, is it an honor or a job? Because if you view it as a job, you're not going to do the same thing if you view it as an honor. And we really want our guys to appreciate that. I know I appreciated the opportunity to go to Georgia, and I hope that our players know it's an honor and a privilege to be able to go there, not a job. And the last 2, better never rest. You know, we say best never rest, better never rest. It never rests. So to say that you've won 2 national championships or won X amount of games in a row, all that does, every time I hear someone introduce our team, myself, our players, with that introduction, all I'm thinking about is, who's gaining on me? Are you going to sit back? Because for every pat on the back, they'll have a knife in their hand the next year. Boom, boom. Be the first ones to question you. So better never rest. And then the last one, and we were kind of on this week, is sweep the sheds. You know, I love sweep the sheds. We say it another way that I understand a little better from where I'm from. Eat off the floor. Are you willing to eat off the floor? Like seriously, are you hungry enough to eat off the floor? Because if you're not careful, you got a nice white tablecloth, you got all that silverware, and you got all that good stuff, but are you hungry? Are you willing to go sweep the sheds? I tell my kids that all the time at home. They laugh at me. I'm like, y'all ain't done nothing. Are you willing to go sweep the sheds? Are you willing to leave it better than you found it? Will you eat off the floor? Because if you'll eat off the floor, I promise you, you won't have to worry about somebody on Saturday. And the minute that you're not willing to eat off the floor, somebody's going to pass you right by. And the All Blacks have used these 4 mantras to stay on top of their sport, on top of their game. And it's really cool to see them do that because they take so much honor in what they do to get to that, to achieve that. I mean, less than 1% of high school players ever play again, right? When you start talking about the SEC level, we're talking about 0.001. Very few guys get an opportunity to play in the greatest conference there is. They can't. So it's an honor, not a job, and we try to really impart that knowledge to our players so they appreciate the opportunity they get. I appreciate the opportunity to come here, get in front of you guys. I'm a big high school football fan. I know you think I'm crazy and you're like, oh, y'all, you just want to sign every player. I love state of Georgia players. I follow state of Georgia players. State of Georgia has the best coaching in all of the country by far. So they develop players. I've always felt like the University of Georgia should be able to recruit our state, get the best players in the state, and be successful because our state just bleeds football. And the only reason it does, because so many of you guys go out on Friday night and support them. So many of you guys support them in their local businesses and sponsor events that supports these football players. Trust me, if nobody came out to see these guys and get honored, nobody came out to award these, less people would play football. And I think football helps you in the game of life, puts you ahead because it's very tough. So I know y'all don't want to be bored by my 4 mantras of the All Blacks. I know you guys really want to hear questions, Q&A, and I'm all free to do that. If you want to ask any questions, it sounds like we're back to the quarterback questions that we were back to 3 years ago. Unfortunately, I don't have Stats back to take that question away. But I'll open it up and be brief so everybody gets a chance to get home and be with their families. Yes, sir. I think he's got a bright future because he's really talented. He's got great arm talent. He's a really good athlete. He's smart. I have not heard per se. I've been so busy with our own recruiting and really our own team. We're going on practice number 4 tomorrow. So I really haven't. I mean, I hate to say it, but when those guys go and they go work out, you know, we're worried about our team for next year. So I follow those guys, and a lot of them got to work out today, but I don't have a lot of conversations with teams about guys. I did see Stetson today, and he was working out with the Saints, and he's a great young man, and he's going to have an opportunity to play for a long time, in my opinion, because of his athletic ability. He's a really good athlete. Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. He asked. I should repeat the question. Yeah, he asked about Stetson. Yes. Yeah, that thing's been out there. I don't know where that stemmed from, but that was a long time ago. He asked about an article that's out there that I don't know. I have not read that article, so I don't know how it's viewed. But that wasn't a Bill Belichick comment to me. It was more of a pass down, I think, from Coach Parcells, Coach Belichick, Coach Saban. They talked about when you go to the combine, you go to evaluate players. One of the first things you do is you don't stand at the end of the line at the 40 and take the times to get the 40. You stand behind the 40 so you can see the size of the butts of the players and see how large they are. Some of y'all probably think that's crazy, but when you turn on the film, we watch it not from the sideline, we watch it from the end zone, and the guys that don't get moved on the defensive line are usually the best defensive linemen, and the offensive linemen with the big rear ends, they do the most moving. So the great thing about football is that you can be big and be talented. You know, there's very few places that a 6'2", 320-pound Solomon Kinley can go be successful, but he can do it on a football field because he can move people. And I think that's what makes our sport really special, but that's one of the things some coaches look for is size. Any other questions? Yes, sir. I think it's great, man. That's going to make me work harder, right? He asked about Nolan Smith, and he said, "What do you think about Nolan Smith saying he's coming after your job?" He's been telling me that at Flex for the last 4 years. So I've been telling him he just needs to worry about graduating. Don't worry about coming after my job. But he started as an engineering major, and I kid Nolan all the time because he wanted to be an engineer, and it's probably one of the hardest majors we have. And he and Jacoby Dean were both in engineering, and it's so challenging. And every day at Flex, he's like, Coach, I don't think I'm going to be an engineer anymore. I'm coming to get your job. And I told him, I said, it's good, Nolan, you can have it. You want it? You want it real bad? I said, you can come get it if you want it. You got to go be successful in the NFL first. And I think he's well on his way to doing that. And he's going to make a great husband, father, NFL player, a great man, because he's a leader of men. You know, he's of the 7 years we've been there, 7 seasons, he's the second highest vote getter and captain we've ever had. So he obviously had the belief of his peers. And there's no greater indicator of who leads than when the players vote on it. And he had, you know, more votes than anybody but one guy in our entire time being there. So I got a lot of respect for Nolan. Yes.
Coach, 365 days of football, how do you relax?
I don't. I mean, I relax when I'm on vacation with my family, but I still usually have my cell phone with me. You know, it's like it's not a profession that you get to relax in. I don't know as a parent how you relax when you think about. I mean, I've got 2 15-year-olds that just started driving. There ain't nothing relaxing about that. I can promise you. So I'm a type A anyway, so I'm not going to relax in football. I'm not going to relax when my kids are driving. I'm probably not going to relax very often. I do enjoy the competition, and I really like practice. I like the interaction with the players, because I challenge our guys every day to go out there and look. If you come out there some days not feeling like doing your best, you're not going to make it at our place. And I tell people that before they come. Like, don't come, because if you're not going to be your best every day, I'd rather have somebody that will. I need to know up front. So I'm going to be real honest with you from the start. Yeah, a couple more.
You're going to 9 games shortly, I believe that Mr. Sankey has spoke about. What are your thoughts on your 3 permanent opponents?
I have no thoughts on my permanent opponent. It's not my job to pick them, so I'm not going to whine or cry about it. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to take whoever they get us and try to beat them. I think that's the best way to handle it. And the best thing about that is it'll rotate to where you'll get to play everybody in our conference at a faster rate. You know, everybody talks about us and A&M. We haven't been to A&M the whole time they've been in the conference, and we're finally going soon. But when you go to 9, you turn it over faster. So you get to see everybody, and look, there's somebody a lot smarter than me with algorithms. I sat through a meeting where they told us all the algorithms of how they're going to figure it out. And I said, you know what, y'all just let me know who we got. And I'm going to spend my time trying to get the best players and let y'all figure out who we play. Because at the end of the day, you got to beat who you play, right? And they decide that. I don't think there's any partiality that, we're going to give this team an easy schedule and this team a hard schedule. I really don't believe that. So I trust the leadership. Yes, sir.
Coach, are you pleased with the overall conditioning and reporting you practice now?
No, I wouldn't say I'm pleased. I thought we could have been in better shape. I don't like spring break falls right before our spring practice. So we do 6 weeks of off-season work like these guys do in high school. Their coaches put them through all the stuff, and then also we go on spring break for 9 days. You know, you say it's 5 days, but it's 9 days, really, because they got the front end, back end of each weekend, and our kids need that. You know, they've had a long season, but then they come back in and we practice on Tuesday after they're back. So I'm not pleased with the conditioning, because I don't think enough of our guys spent time conditioning over spring break. But also, I didn't condition over spring break either. You know what I mean? I'm talking about as a player or coach. So, I get it. There's a time and a need for that. So we have to slow down a little bit when they're coming back from spring break. Yes, sir.
Can you speak kind of quickly about Stetson Bennett when he graduated high school and then went all the way to the 2-time national champ?
Yeah, he asked about Stetson Bennett, how he went from high school quarterback to 2-time national champ. I think it's a great symbol of perseverance. Of these guys up here, based on NCAA average, there's 6 good players here. The NCAA says that 2 of these 6 will go somewhere and leave and go somewhere else. Okay, that's just what the averages say. So it's what's happening out there. 20-30% of guys aren't staying where they went. Stetson didn't. He left and said, I'm going to go play and prove to you that I can play. And he went to junior college. I mean, people don't know. We don't have a guy on our team that spent any time in Mississippi Junior College. Stetson did. They don't have taping tables. They don't have food. They just cater to you. They don't have 1,800 people to tape you. They don't have massage chairs. They don't have massage therapists that come in there. They don't have a nutritionist. They don't have any of that. So he went over there and he played. He earned what he got. So then he earned a scholarship back. So then when he came back, he was still third. And he kept fighting and earning, and all we tried to do was tell him that he wasn't good enough, and all he tried to do was show us that he was. It's a great example of perseverance, because any other kid in this world that's a highly rated quarterback would have already left and not come back, or come back and then left. But he stayed the course. He had a really good defense behind him one year, and he played well enough to win a national championship, and then he helped win one this past year and did a tremendous job. So it just shows that it really doesn't matter where you're from, how small it is, or how many offers you got, because nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's what you do with it that matters, and he capitalized on that. I mean, JT Wall, we just talked about it, right? I mean, he came in there, walked on, earned a scholarship, was drafted. I mean, there's success stories all over the place of people that overcome a lot of adversity. A lot of times, the guys that get put on the pedestal and get rated really high, it actually hurts them because they start believing it. They won't eat off the floor. So, yeah.
Coach Bobo, now he's in charge of three quarterbacks. What's your expectation if he's done this spring?
The expectation for the spring is to have a really good competition, to grow those guys, develop all three of them. We don't know which one will be the starting quarterback. We don't know how to play out. We're not looking to find a starter on one day of practice. What we're trying to do is get those three guys better. Make sure they understand the verbiage. Make sure they understand how the offense, can they operate the offense and get the ball to the playmakers and make some plays themselves. You know, we're not like trying to reinvent it. We got good players. We want to get the ball to them. We want to play good, sound defense and offense and play with some good special teams. But I don't think we're going to overdo the quarterback thing in the spring. We're going to sit there and let those guys develop. And they all need reps, and they all need game reps, and we can't get enough of that. I'll do two more because I know everybody's ready to go home. Yes, sir.
You probably got 6 or 8 former football players that were head coaches of PPA that come back, you know, to help you in your coaching. How important is it to have that, the homegrown guys come in and work really in that culture, how much they love Georgia and how much are you willing to do that, you know?
Well, I'll say this. He's asking about the coaches and being from Georgia. I'll say this. College profession is probably one of the toughest, hardest jobs there is right now. Regardless of what they make, it's not fun when you deal 24/7 with cell phones. These guys can tell you their phones blow up 24/7 by us, and they're getting blown up by multiple staffs. And then in reverse, we're getting hit up. And on top of that, he might come one year and you tell him he's got to run for missing something, and he transfers. So they don't deal with that in the NFL. So when you get coaches, they better want to be where they are. Like they better want to be there. That's the buy-in, because we have guys, a lot of guys, I think we got 7 or 8 that went to school at Georgia. We got guys from the state, BMAC, Todd Hartley, Bobo, Jonas, Will Muschamp. I mean, it's just so many that were from Georgia, or even Dale McGee's from Georgia. He didn't play at Georgia. So when you start looking at it, they better appreciate where they work every day, and they better want to be there, because it's not an easy job in today's day and age. You know, you get close to a kid and all of a sudden you think you're going to sign him. Next thing you know, he's going to the highest bidder because somebody's throwing out NIL money, and now you've wasted a relationship all the way to the end. And if it's about that, then we may not be the place for it, because it's just not. I mean, you want people that want to be there. Last one. Yes, ma'am. Well, appreciate
But I
it.
want to say, if you remember a trip we took in the spring of 2004, we took Bobo to come to Thomasville, Georgia, to play golf.
Hole in one. Yeah, some guy hit a hole in one on us. Sure did. We were playing some crazy game, but I did. She was asking about a trip to Thomasville with Coach Bobo and I. We went down to Thomasville. He was from Thomasville. We got to play Glen Arvin, and we did. We were playing some silly game that I didn't understand. I was just losing money, and I didn't have money to lose. I was a lot more poor then, and some guy hit a hole in one. They told me it cost me. Well, I tell him, I hope he did a lot with that money, because it's grown in interest if he still got it. He sure enough hit one in on me. It's the first live hole in one I saw. I'll get one more real question. Yes, sir.
I wish that you get involved with Rock Bowers about 11 times in that championship game. And do you think you'll be the #1 pick next year's draft?
I don't know if he's asking Brock will be the #1 pick next year. I think it's hard to say. That's not a position that's ever been picked, #1. They go for rare rare people. The Travon Walker's size, who sat in these seats just like you guys did. They go for size, quarterbacks. That's what they want to do first, and they pick that first. I doubt a tight end would be picked first, but I can tell you he's worthy of it because he's one of the toughest, hardest working, great kids. Great story on Brock to finish up the night is we got 2 freshmen tight end, and they decided they were going to tag team Brock in these races. So when you run 110s, these guys know you might run 10 110s, 16 110s. What's the most 110s you've ever run, Zach? 20, 15, training. So these guys decided they were going to go, hey, you go hard, then I go hard, and then you go hard, and we'll get him. You know what I mean? We'll beat him, because if we tag team, we don't have to run as hard each. So that's not good for them, but that's going to, they're going to get Brock wore out, because Brock tries to beat them, those freshmen, every time. Well, after about 16 110s, they realized they could never beat him, because they were tag teaming back and forth, and he's just a machine, and he outruns them. But guys, it's an honor to be here. I appreciate everybody in this room. I appreciate all the award winners. Can't say enough about the people that give back to football in this state. It means a lot. You're lucky to be here and be honored tonight. Thank you guys, and go Dogs.